that is the effect of the export on the economic growth. And the equilibrium imbalance and equilibrium dynamic process of the country's economy. In fact, the trade multiplier itself also has a transmission problem in the international economy. The analysis of this transmission mechanism is also important. We assume there's two countries in the world, the country A and the country B. So as a starting point, how two countries import and export on the national impact on the national income, and how the international commodity exchange channel and two countries' national incomes expansions and contractions conduction process, and how the national income change interacted between the two countries caused by the trade. So a country's spontaneous export increase by the multiplier effect, the national income of a country increase about more than one fold. That is the unfold increase. And part is imported. This part is imported from the country B, according to the country's marginal propensity to import. That is also by the causality that is caused by this import is the B country's export increase. And as a result of the multiplier effect, the B country's national income will increase about more than one time. A part of this increase is imported from country A according to country B's marginal propensity to import. And the country A's, because of the caused by this imports from country B, and the country A is caused as a consequence of this country B's marginal propensity to import, country A's export will increase, and so on. So the country A's second law multiplier effect resulted in country A's national income increase again, but with less magnitudes. Just like the and so on. So there is maybe more than two circles or more than two rounds. This quantified result can be achieved as an expansion income conduction. If A's spontaneous export significance increase and A and B's marginal propensity to saving and marginal propensity to import are all known. So the transmission process of national income contraction is similar to this expansion. If a country's spontaneous export increase, say that it increases in another way to say is the B country's spontaneous imports increases. By the multiplier effect, big countries' national income decreases n-folds. Through the marginal propensity to import, the big countries' import as a result will decrease. And the A countries' export as a result will decrease as well. And A countries' national income decrease by the multiplier effect, and also as a result of this national income decrease, the A countries' import will decrease as well. So the factors affecting this is the transmission process in the field of international commodity exchange can be measured by first factors affecting the transmission in the field of the international commodity exchange. The different countries have different influence on the international market price. So they are divided into the big countries and small countries. But big countries mean that they have only the recipients of the price, but also the sectors of prices. While the small countries don't have the ability to impact the world price. The small countries are only the recipient of the price. The status of the large and small countries in the international economy is very different. So the factors affecting the transmission of international economic equilibrium are also different, but they generally have the following characteristics. First is the degree of economic openness of a country. The greater the degree of the openness, the greater the economic impact of the transmissions through the international commodity exchange channels. The degree of the openness mentioned here mainly refers to the proportion of countries directly connected with the world market in the national economy. That is the degree to which a country's production, employment, and consumption participate in the world market. If a country sustain a large proportion of its production from both sides abroad, that means a large proportion of its employment is related to its foreign economy, and foreign trade and foreign investment, and a considerable proportion of its consumptions come from foreign imports. Then the change in the world economy will have greater impact on its economy through the international commodity exchange channel. And in the 1990s, China's import and export accounts for about 30 to 40% of the GDP, and the international economic changes have a huge impact on China's domestic economic development. And next is the trade status of a country. The trade status means the proportion of a country's trade volume in the world trade volume, as well as the proportion of a country's commodity in the world's total supply and total demand of that commodity. And if a country's trade volume is significant in the world trade volume, and a certain commodity is significant in the world supply or demand, changes of the world economy will have a greater impact on the other countries through the international commodity exchange channels. Some of our manufactured goods, such as garments and toys, account for a large share of world markets, and changes in the international market can have a considerable impact on the domestic economy. The trade area structure of a country also have the deterministic factors of this conduction. The trade area structure is defined as the regional and the country distribution of trade volume, which reflects the closeness degree of the trade connection between a country and other countries and regions. If there is a high degree of trade interdependence between the two or more countries, and the trade activities of one country occupies an important position in other country, the economic changes of other countries will have a greater impact on other countries through the national exchange channels. One example is the fact that the economies of raw material exporting countries depend heavily on changes in supply and demand in the world markets. During the East Asia financial crisis from 1997 to 98, the economic development of East Asia was hit, and world economy was dragged down, and also the oil demand supply falls demand fell sharply, and the oil price suffered a huge setback. However, the economic recovery of the East Asia in 2000, the investment of the improvement of the world economy, and a sharp rise in oil demand and sharp rise in oil prices as a good illustration of this situation. And the next factor is the economic policies of various countries. The external equilibrium has also been one of the main economic objectives of the country in order to prevent international economic fluctuation on its own economy. Economic impact. Countries must take certain policies to avoid or transfer the impact. In addition, domestic economic policies, such as the expansion or ex, expansionary financial policies or contractionary monetary policies, can also adjust the impact of external economic economies through the factors such as the marginal import propensity, exchange rates, and change in the national income. For example, when a country changes its foreign exchange rate of its own currency, it will eventually affect the import and export of foreign capitals and the introduction of foreign capitals in all aspects. The inflow of the foreign capital into a country means the inflow of foreign capitals into another country will increase, and the decrease of the foreign capital means the economic growth will be affected. Therefore, the different economic policies have certain influence on the transmission mechanism and the process.